Roll.
Council President Wolf,
Always first when I'm not ready. Yeah, here.
Youth Councilor Manini,
Here.
Councilor Gudusi,
Present.
Councilor Hu,
Here.
Mayor Lube,
Here.
Councilor Robbins,
Here.
Councilor Schlack,
Here.
Councilor Shaw.
Here.
Thank you. If everyone will please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, everyone. We will start off with proclamations and recognition. The first thing we have on the agenda is Arbor Month, and I would like to welcome up our Parks, Recreation, and Green Infrastructure Manager, Grun, and Natural Resource Coordinator, Jones, to present the item. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Lube and Council. It's great to be here tonight, and I'm happy to talk to you about a proclamation proclaiming April as Arbor Month. Friday, April 25th is National Arbor Day. It's a special day set aside for the planting of trees, and it's been celebrated since 1872. In Tigard, we recognize that our urban forest is a necessary and an integral part of the city's natural resource infrastructure. Most of you are familiar with our tree planting program with over 65,000 seedling trees planted over the last couple of years. As such, we would like to recognize and celebrate Arbor Month as a way to provide education to the community about the importance of trees, and as part of being a Tree City USA city. Tigard has been a Tree City for over 22 years, and I think you all seen on the wall there. And so in honor of Arbor Month, we thought it would be a great idea to give Council a few updates on what we've been working on over the past year to help protect our urban forests. And first off, I would like to introduce Lucy Jones. Lucy has been a member of our parks maintenance team for 14, 15 years. Most recently, she was promoted to be the first of a new position, a natural resource coordinator. And some of her responsibilities include overseeing our greenways and our restoration projects in the city, assisting community members with their tree concerns that come in through Tigard service request, and leading the city's emerald ash borer response. And if you're not familiar with emerald ash borer, it's a very invasive green-colored beetle that feeds on our ash trees and most prevalent in our riparian and vegetative corridors. Since its discovery, the emerald ash borer has killed millions of ash trees throughout North America. Unfortunately, it's made its way into Oregon and in particular Washington County. Knowing that in time Tigard will be impacted, we've been proactive in our response to help protect our trees. Our first step, and Lucy's first step, was to establish monitoring sites in the city and gain an understanding of where and how many ash trees would be potentially impacted through the infestation. We've also partnered with Ash Creek Forest Management to do a tree inventory and assessment, along with scoping out a 5-year response plan to help slow or lessen the impact. And I'm happy to come back another day to give you more details on this. Lastly, to celebrate Arbor Month, our recreation team has partnered up with a number of local organizations to do a family-friendly Earth and Arbor Day celebration on Saturday, April 26th at Bonita Park. And there'll be at that event, there'll be a number of kids activities, crafts, and community partner booths. So it'll be a fun education event for all of you to come out. We'll also be doing a drawing to give away trees, both at the Earth and Arbor Day event, as well as your own State of the City event on April 28th. Any words? Well, thank you, Mayor. We'd love for we would be grateful and appreciate if council would support a proclamation naming April as Arbor Month.
Yeah, and it is so proclaimed. So we would love to take a picture with you for the presentation, and council, I mean, feel free to join us if you want to join for the picture.
Great.
Where do you want us to stand? We can stand in front. Thank you. Yep.
Thank you. Our next proclamation is for Parkinson's Awareness Month for the month of April 2025. And we have Sharon Kishner here to talk a little bit about the proclamation. Welcome, Sharon. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Mayor, honored members of the council, I'm honored to be here and to accept this proclamation for Parkinson's Month. It's the first time I've done this. I'm a little nervous. It's kind of nice I got to watch someone do it, but I have Parkinson's disease. I was diagnosed 4 years ago, and during that course of time, I've become very educated about the things that are available in different communities in Oregon and nationally as well. Davis Phinney Foundation, which is whom I have asked for this proclamation to be in honor of, was a Olympic cyclist, and he started the David Phinney Foundation after he was diagnosed. Some of the things that the foundation provides is resources for people who have Parkinson's, their family members, care partners, professionals in the form of presentations and manuals and just pretty much anything you can imagine. So our mission really is to educate people about Parkinson's because it is kind of a silent disease. People are not aware of it, and it is the quickest, fastest growing disease in the country, and I forgot the statistic for Oregon, but it's really high. So I thank you.
It is on the proclamation. So researchers estimate that Parkinson's disease occurs in Oregon at a rate of 1,151.28 per 100,000 Oregonians. And the direct and indirect costs to care for the approximate 14,000 people, which we believe is an undercount living with Parkinson's in Oregon, is estimated to be $696 million per year.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's helpful when it's in writing. Thank you for bringing this to our attention and helping spread awareness. We would also love to do a presentation for the proclamation for you.
Great, thank you.
We have 3 additional proclamations that don't have presentations, but we wanted to make sure to highlight them as well. April 2025 is also Oregon Month of the Military Child, which recognizes the more than 2 million children of our service members and veterans who support and sacrifice, help keep our military strong and our nation secure. April 2025 is also Fair Housing Month, which marks the 57th anniversary of the passage of the Federal Fair Housing Act, and one of the Civil Rights Acts of 1968, which guarantees that housing throughout the United States should be made available to all community members without regard to race, color, religion, gender, familial status, disability, or national origin. And last but not least, coming up April 21st through 25th is Community Development Week in Tigard. By the National Community Development Association to celebrate Community Development Block Grant Program and the Home Investment Partnership. The CDBG program provides annual funding and flexibility to local communities to provide decent, safe, and sanitary housing, a suitable living environment, and economic opportunities to low and moderate income people. And the Home Investment Partnership Program provides funding for local communities to create safe, decent, affordable housing opportunities for low-income persons. And so those are several of the important things that we're highlighting this month. And we also have a Police Recognition Life-Saving Award, and we have Commander Sitton here to help us present it. Welcome.
There we go. Mayor, councilors, thank you for giving us a few moments tonight. We're here tonight to present a life-saving award. I think life-saving awards, or the incident of life-saving, is probably the second most stressful event that an officer can experience in their career. They go to training, and there are state-mandated events that we've got to go through every 2 years, but thankfully for the great environment that we work in, being the city of Tigard, we don't often get to practice those skills because there's many other first responders that are as close to the event as we are. That being said, when an event does occur, officers show up and they do what they're trained to do. And when the other first responders show up, they don't just get up and walk away. They stay there and assist in whatever method they can, whether that's securing equipment, helping move the patient, whatever the other first responders need, our officers chip in and do that job every single time. And Officer Bunyabath is a prime example of that. This is actually her second award, more than what most people receive in their career. And if you'll allow me, I'd like to read the award. Tigard Police Department, this is to certify that the City of Tigard has awarded the Life Saving Medal, second award, to Officer Cindy Jo Bunyabath for life-saving efforts that occurred on 9/2 of 2024. Officer Bunyabath responded to the Main Street Village Apartments on a CPR call. The call stated that a 21-year-old male had collapsed and was not breathing. Officer Bunyabath arrived quickly and located Dial Zaduka inside an apartment with another individual who was administering CPR. Dial Zaduka lay lifeless, was not breathing, was ashen, and had no pulse. Officer Bunyabath immediately jumped in and continued the life-saving CPR until TVFNR arrived and took over. Ultimately, the patient was stabilized and was transported to the hospital with a pulse. Officer Bunyabath's professionalism and ability to quickly apply her training and expertise reflect great credit upon herself, the Tigard Police Department, and the City of Tigard. Given under my hand in the City of Tigard this 9th day of October 24, James McDonald, Chief of Police, and Heidi Lube, Mayor. So here is your award and your certificate. And we can take some pictures. All right.
Thank you, city councilors. I think you've reached your stand goal for today. It's always exciting to be able to celebrate the life-saving awards and the achievements of our officers and the different proclamations. So appreciate you participating in that. The next item on the agenda is public comment. If you'd like to call in to provide comment, please do so now to get into the queue, 503-966-4101. Anyone present wanting to comment should sign up at the public comment at the back of the room. There were no public comments received by noon on Monday for this meeting. City Recorder Krager, has anyone signed up to speak in person today? Okay, thank you. Mr. Wold, are there any phone callers in the queue or anyone wishing to comment by video today?
Mayor, there are no callers in the queue and no requests for video comment.
All right, thank you so much. We will move on to the city manager report with interim city manager Drake.
Thank you, Mayor Lube and members of the City Council. I have two things to talk to you tonight about. The first is, and I think our residents will be very interested in this, and also to give them an alert. The City of Tigard has begun the initial stages of the biennial National Community Survey. The survey is a comprehensive survey that gauges residents' opinions on various dimensions of community life via a mailed survey. It provides local governments an in-depth understanding of how their residents perceive the community and its governance. And yes, after the results are received, approximately early July, the public and the council will be informed of these objective third-party survey that will be provided. The results are benchmarked with other participating cities to see how Tigard compares to cities of similar size. In 2023, the City of Tigard sent out the National Community Survey to roughly 2,800 randomly selected households through a contract with a company called Polco. The survey is meant to be sent with biennial frequency. Alex Richardson is the staff person serving point and working directly with Polco. The survey is a standard benchmarking tool used by communities across the nation to gain a comprehensive understanding of the livability and satisfaction of government services from community members. The scores residents' perspectives are done on 10 aspects of a city's livability. The polling process and final results are expected to be completed and reported on by July 8th. Are there any questions from council on that? If not, one other item that I think will be of interest. Deputy City Manager Emily Trish and I met today with the Tigard Chamber of Commerce Executive Director Megan DeSalvo. We had a conversation about issues related to downtown Tigard. In addition, we learned that the Tigard Farmers Market will open this year on Sunday, May 4th. Last year they had approximately 48 vendors, and this year about 100 have applied. Interest continues to grow for the Tigard Farmers Market. So can I answer any questions?
I don't have any questions, but would ask community members, if you do receive the survey, please respond. That information is invaluable to us, especially as we collect it over time.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
All right, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which is used for routine items, including approval of contracts or intergovernmental agreements. Information on each item is available on the city's website in the packet for this meeting. Items may be enacted in one motion without separate discussion. Today on the consent agenda, we have to review and approve new water advisory board representatives for Durham and the Tigard Water District, Microsoft Enterprise License Agreement, a right-of-way maintenance contract, and Murdoch Street sidewalk and storm improvements and safe route to school for Templeton and Tuwality improvements. Are there any questions on the consent agenda tonight? Yeah, Councilor Hu?
Thank you, Mayor. Couple questions. I'm just going to list them because they're short. So I'm just wondering for the Water Advisory Board, if there are any specific criteria that the council should consider for appointing those board members. Should I continue my questions or?
We can start there. Do we have Director Rager? Oh, thank you.
Good evening, Council. Happy to answer that question. The only criteria called for in the intergovernmental agreement between Tigard, the City of Durham, and the Tigard Water District is that those entities, that they put forward people that are members of those bodies. That's the only criteria called for.
Okay. Seems very, okay, that's fine, thank you.
Councillor Hu, I think these, it is a joint board of membership from different groups that belong to the Tigard utility. And so I think it would be like us voting to send a member and then that group just confirming it. Does that make sense? Like if we were to be a member, like the Tigard Lake Oswego Water Partnership, if for some reason there was an overarching body that needed to approve it, it would be like us sending members and them just saying, yes, we accept those as your members. Does that help?
It does, but I'm just questioning the word approval because when I hear the word approval, there's usually a list of approval criteria that we have to check and say, "Hey, yes, we approve, but in this case, it just seems like we are consenting or something. So, but
Yeah, I think it's approving that we acknowledge that they
Yeah,
are the members
acknowledgement,
of the group that
Yeah.
can participate on
Okay.
this board. I don't think we're vetting whether or not we think they're excellent candidates. I think that and no offense, like, I don't think we're going through that process. I
No,
think
no,
it's
it's
saying, you know, we confirm that they're members of the body that they should be.
okay.
Is that correct?
That's correct. The members of the Water Advisory Board that where there is some decision-making on the council's part are the at-large members, and there's 2 of them on the
Right.
on the board. And so the mayor participated in reviewing candidates the last time we had to replace some at-large folks. So that's where you have some input there.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I have no more question for that topic. And this is perhaps more a request from the Microsoft Enterprise License Agreement. I really appreciate the cost reduction for the next 3 years, and as well as the information regarding the 2-year head start required for migrating to Google Cloud. But I would just request the city team to provide a list of pros and cons for switching to Google Cloud. Doesn't mean I'm supporting it. I have no idea the pros and cons. Maybe 2 years before the next time they ask the council for renewing the Microsoft Enterprise License Agreement. So.
I think that might be too in the weeds and too operational as far as a question. I think our responsibility is that would be something that the IT director and the city manager would specifically decide operationally what the organization would need.
Correct, but this is asking our approval, right? So it just feels like this license is going to expire at the end of April. And if the council did decide to migrate to another platform, it takes 2 years. So I feel like, I don't know, maybe the council should, if we're going to approve something, we should have clear understanding of pro and con of the alternatives if we're going to approve this. So maybe 2 years ahead, maybe I should rephrase this. I would request staff to provide council with ample time to make decision like this. So it's not like, if we don't approve it, then next April, come April 30th, it's going to expire. So,
Interim city manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Councilor Hu, it's not often, I think, that you're able to bring a product forward that is so effective and is so internationally recognized and is such a common denominator between our population, our businesses, agencies we deal with. And I do understand your question and why. It's almost a joy to bring something like this to the council that doesn't have difficulties. We don't have to question it. We aren't wringing our hands and saying, oh my, there's no other choice. This choice works really well. And no, I don't work for Microsoft, but being a somewhat non-technical person, even I understand how it works and how effective it is. And I wish we had other products that perform so well. And what we're really asking is your funding it, but yes, your approval too. We just don't have complaints, and it's easy to respond to, and it gets an A+ from our staff and our leadership.
I understand, but
Yeah.
I believe part of my job as a council member is to get the biggest bang for our buck, right? I understand what you're saying,
Yes.
but I don't know why I don't know. I don't know anything about Microsoft, Google Cloud. So I'm a naturally skeptical person. So I'm not saying I don't want to migrate. I just want some sort of, I don't know, briefing on why, this is the still best choice for us and the biggest bang for our bucks. I don't know how much is it, the Google Cloud is. Is it cheaper or doing the same thing? I don't know. So that's why I'm asking.
Mayor, we'd be happy to bring back information. We'd ask for support tonight, but
Yeah, I'm
okay.
supporting it. I'm just asking, looking
Right.
ahead. I just feel like if, this thing is going to, the license is going to expire at the end of April, and if we're going to change it, it takes 2 years to migrate. I just don't feel like I have all the information going forward. 3 years later, if I'm still on the council and to ask this again, I would say, I don't know which one is better.
well, we'd be happy to provide that information and what led staff to make the recommendation they
All right,
did.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hold on, Council President Wolf.
Yeah, Counselor, I thought I would jump in because I had a curiosity about pricing, and I didn't know, Director Anderson, if you wanted to come up and just make a comment about those that had requested possibly an RFP, but you had done some diligence on the pricing, and so I just thought that might be a direct response so that we could move forward with that. Thank you, Director.
So, Councilor, we put out the consent for this, and we did get a couple comments. When the comments came in, the pricing for one license from one of the vendors that came through was $222 per license. The cost that we're getting is $35 per license. So I think that ultimately we feel comfortable with the fact that we're getting a value for our dollar. Additionally, Dell is honoring the old price point for the 325 licenses that we have. So, and then we're getting some additional ones. But I do understand your point about some information ahead of time. So I'm not opposed to doing that. I think it's just, we all know we've been here just a year now. So these are one of the things that kind of crept up on
Right.
us. So that's why it's here now when we expire in April.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Just, again, it's the thing of, we want to at least tell the story to the community member and show them that we're doing our due diligence, and maybe you have done it. I just don't know about it. So, yeah, so I appreciate you, in the future, bring some more information about this. So thank you. And one last question.
There's still additional questions. Councilor Schlack?
Okay.
Oh, did you have anything?
I was just going to say, when I was reviewing the consent agenda information, it didn't sound like there were plans necessarily to migrate. It's just stating that there is a possible alternative.
Correct. Yeah, and that's how I perceive the
why-
AIS form, is that we need to, provide the alternative, and Google Cloud Workspace is the closest you can get to, but I wouldn't say it's comparable for our work, but we can get to into the weeds, as we say, a little bit later.
Yeah, I mean, just I appreciate you providing an alternative, but maybe a little bit more description of that. It would not fit our need. that would be great too. So, yeah. So thank you.
Any additional questions on the Microsoft? Okay. Go ahead, Councilor Hu.
So I have one question about the right-of-way maintenance contract. So is that funded exclusively by the street maintenance fee? Just one question.
Councilor Hu, this is Joe Barrett, Business Manager for Public Works Department. Yes, that funding for this contract is exclusively through the street maintenance fee via a transfer to the gas tax fund, and all of the costs are run out of the street maintenance division.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Brian.
I actually have a follow-up question, sort of from a policy question. I'm sorry, Brian. I get asked all the time, or it's a somewhat frequent topic, about pesticides that the city is using, specifically in our parks, or even when other outside organizations are coming in and doing mitigation on theirs as far as the pesticides they're concerned, and having to keep off of the grass, which can be difficult if you have pets or children, quite frankly, who don't always listen to the best. So I was wondering, with the right-of-way maintenance contract, sort of what the pesticide use is, as far as, are there restrictions on types of pesticides or any of that?
So I can answer, yes, we do use certain pesticides in that operation. It's very targeted, and the contractors that are involved are licensed applicators. They use they follow the manufacturer's recommendations on application. So we do not have concerns about what they're using. I can come back, or we can provide a follow-up memo as to the specifics of what is being applied, if that's of interest.
Yeah, I think a memo would be great, just to help us understand pesticide use, maybe in general.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you. Any additional questions on the right-of-way maintenance? I don't know that we've ever had this many questions on the consent agenda. Councilor Gadusi?
And just a clarification for the Safe Routes to School, the timeline of soliciting contract awards of April 8th is not the same as the request for proposal, so there's no possibility of new proposals coming in?
Hi there, Jeff Peck, project manager. We anticipated April 8th would be the date we went to council, and it got moved forward to April 1st. So it was a leftover thing that just didn't get changed. So no, there's nothing else. This is it.
Got it. So the official request for proposal was earlier. I wasn't able to read it, just making certain.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions on the consent agenda?
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The motion is adopted by unanimous vote of the council. The next item on the agenda is to adopt the 2025 council goals, and we have Deputy City Manager Trich to introduce this item. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Emily Trich, your Deputy City Manager, and I'm pleased to be with you here this evening. After participating in your brainstorming session with Facilitator Jill Goldsmith February 11th, the professional teammates went back and spent a good deal of time working together to flesh out some of your suggestions and ideas for the council goals proposed for the 2025 to 2027 period. I'd like to flag that we'd love to include this information as part of our proposed budget document that we'll be discussing with the Budget Committee. We don't want to rush you at all, but if we're able to make some great progress and possibly adopt them this evening, then that will position us well to include this information and tie some of the budget requests and information to the council goals and create that link. In addition to myself, there are several teammates in the audience, both in person and online, subject matter experts that we may invite to chime in to respond to any questions. And really pleased with how the professional team came together for this. We shared 2 documents with you. One is the draft council goals document. We also shared with you a second document titled Attachment 2. These are the sample metrics and outputs. As I say, these are just examples. When the council goals are finalized, our professional team will do additional work defining and describing the how and getting some targets and metrics developed, and that'll be part of our quarterly updates to you all. They're included here to give an idea of some of the outcomes or some of what we're hoping to realize with the goals. While we're hoping to receive your feedback, edits, and comments on the goal document, we'd love for you to focus there and maybe not spend too much time. If you want to direct thematically the metrics and outputs, we welcome that, but I wouldn't recommend wordsmithing too much because they will certainly change and we aren't adopting the metrics and outputs. If we could go to the next slide, please. I just wanted to highlight our community promise of the 5 E's that run through all the work we do. The council goal document, you'll see flags a few of these that we thought were worth highlighting. While the 5 E's are part of everything, there are some of the draft goals identified that really help us make focused progress or that rely on engagement or equity or environment. So not only do they advance the work of the prior council goals, climate, for example, but they help us deliver the excellence that makes our work so valuable. If you go to the next slide, my proposal is to work through these one goal at a time, but I welcome your feedback. Okay. Rather than read it to you, I'll just leave it up on the screen and perhaps we can begin the conversation. Thanks.
Okay, question and comments on goal 1, which is to create housing and economic opportunities for current and future residents. Words aren't working well today. Yep. Councilor Schack?
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Deputy City Manager Trich and professional team for putting this document together. I was very impressed with it, and I didn't have too much feedback, but part of my feedback is in this goal, and it's a proposal for council. I don't have any substance changes, but my preference would be to rephrase the goal to state economic and housing as opposed to housing and economic, and then to move strategy 1.3, which is focused on economic development, to strategy 1.1. I would just prefer that emphasis on economic development because I think there is a big interest on the council in sort of making that a key portion of our council goals. Additionally, sort of as events have proceeded since we first started this process, I know the economy is on top of mind for a lot of our community members, so I think it would be very reassuring for a lot of our community members and business owners to know that economic development is top of mind. Slight change of emphasis, but that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, Councilor Robbins? Oh, no, go ahead.
Councilor Slack, I understand what you're saying, and I think that's very thoughtful. It also feels a little more organized to have the economic at the top. Alternatively, I think many people here have said, and by here I mean the city, have really voiced concerns about housing, and that is one of residents' primary priorities. And so I'm a little torn about making that switch because it does make sense, but also so many people have stated during my campaign in the last couple of months saying housing was top of mind, not just homeless people, but affordable housing, that entry-level housing, that I worry about burying that a little bit when so many people feel that's so important.
This isn't a ranking, sorry. I respectfully would like to say it's not really a ranking order, so I don't really feel it matters in terms of, I feel we're getting a little bit in the weeds in terms of which one's 1, 2, or 3. Maybe if we wanted to just have one flow off the tongue better, but in terms of our actual priorities, we're not making a rank list. So I don't have a preference either way.
I appreciate the suggestion, and I think we have talked a lot about economic development, but I agree with Councilor Robin. When you talk to Tigard community members and Oregonians in general, housing and homelessness is the #1 crisis that people are asking us to solve or address. That doesn't mean economic isn't important, but I think creating housing and economic opportunities, I'm happy with keeping it how it is. The Portland region is short 55,000 units today that we are actively trying to solve. So my preference is to keep it the way that it is. Yeah, Councilor who?
Do you want to talk more about? Oh, okay. So, can we talk about the sample output at this point?
Whatever you like.
Okay.
Of course.
So, so there's the third bullet point is encourage the construction and preservation of housing stock. So, why is the preservation of housing stock there? What's the significance of preservation? Are there any concern about existing housing stock going down? I'm just curious why.
Yes, I was seeing if Skylar was online, just in case we could get a more expert answer. Okay. Yep.
Good evening, Mayor, councilors, Tigard community. My name is Danelle Hawthorne. I'm the Economic Development Manager for the City of Tigard, and I also have the privilege of helping discuss the collective community development portion of the goals. So preservation of housing stock is different than increasing housing stock because in redevelopment, we worry about and intentionally take actions to reduce displacement, which is a common side effect of redevelopment. So preservation of where people are currently living, increasing the investment in the ability for people to age in place, which includes like bringing services to where people live. Those are all activities that go into preservation of housing. So it's not just the physical house itself, but the livability of our neighborhoods to make sure that we don't get so focused on redevelopment and adding new that we let city streets that are in existence and facilities and neighborhoods go by the wayside because we're only focused on the development of the new.
Thank you. And may I suggest rephrasing that bullet point to reflect what you just said, which is excellent. So thank you.
We will do so. Thank you.
Councilor Shaw?
Great, thank you, Mayor. And thank you to Deputy City Manager Trich and this team who put this together. Very appreciative. I would like to see if I could perhaps recommend a compromise. I agree, housing we hear a lot about, and it has been a concern of the community. Economic development also has been a strong concern of the community, particularly if you go down around 99 in our 2 TIF districts. I'm wondering if we can't break it out, because I do believe that we're going to be seeing some opportunities to increase our economic development as the economy perhaps takes a downturn. And so I'd recommend we have 4 goals, one being the creating housing, and perhaps keep the 1.1 and 1.2, and then create a separate goal that focuses on economic development opportunities, and we would move the 1.3 under that. But that would be my recommendation. Thank you, Mayor.
Council President Wolf?
Yeah, thank you, Councilor Shaw. To that point, if there's value in creating a punch and creating that separately on the emphasis, I'm fine with that, if that makes sense, because they are kind of different. So maybe there's value in just pulling them apart and really creating that focus, because I do know during the campaigning, et cetera, that was a lot of feedback. So I'm great with that. And this is just at the risk of wordsmithing, because I don't want to, but I do in strategy 1.1, when it talks about balancing the infrastructure needs, I bring that up just so that I understand needs. because to Deputy City Manager Tritch, I said, is it capacity? And that was just my seeking to understand what we wanted to accomplish by using needs.
Thank you, Council President. Yes, it does refer to capacity, infrastructure capacity to facilitate housing.
Okay, so again, with the risk of wordsmithing, I just feel like capacity gives clarity to what the concern or balance is, if that's a consideration for council. So
Is your recommendation to strike out needs and just
Use-
have
yeah.
infrastructure capacity of the city?
So while balancing the infrastructure capacity of the city.
Okay.
And I just say that because then I understand it. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm with you.
Can I get a head nod if people agree? Yes, yes. Looking to Councilor Shaw, you were so small. Yep, oh, see the head nod. Excellent, thank you. Yeah, I think we're compensating for earlier today. You're very tiny on the screen. So, excellent. Yeah, I think we're good with capacity. Are we in agreement also to go ahead and split the goals apart between housing and economic development? I think it makes sense to do that. Okay, got lots of head nods. We will go ahead and do that. Excellent. Yeah, Councilor Robbins?
Thank you, Mayor. I think this is great. Thank you so much for your hard work on this. One thing I would like to broaden for one of the sample outputs for strategy 1.1, develop policies and strategies to encourage middle housing and mixed development in River Terrace 2.0. I would like to do that all over the city. And so if we could perhaps broaden that and not say just River Terrace 2.0, because we do have these policies where you can have a little beauty salon or some little business within your community now. We're trying to mix that up all over. And so I would really like people who want to purchase middle housing units to be in places other than River Terrace. And I just have another question for the sample metrics. Usually with goal setting, and at least in my experience, those metrics are measurable. So if it's increased the number of middle housing units, what is our number? Or is it a percentage? Is it 10 houses? Is it 20%? Will those kind of numbers be incorporated?
Part of the first step of what we'll be doing is taking an inventory of what's available. So we don't have good baseline data, good inventory today, so it's difficult to then extrapolate about where we want to go. So first step is know where we're starting, and then the next will be how we'll grow. A goal is to have data to share with you.
So then perhaps the metric should include, just so that we have possible success, is not only just to increase, but to get that inventory and a strategy. And
absolutely, and that is part of the work. We didn't include it here as this was just a sample.
Got it.
But it will be done.
Great.
Councilor who?
Thank you, Mayor. And I appreciate Councilor Robbins' suggestion of not limiting it to River Terrace 2.0, but my concern is that would staff have the capacity to develop strategy outside of River Terrace 2.0? Because we've been doing middle housing for a long time, so I just don't know the staff have capacity to do the strategy outside of River Terrace 2.0.
Thank you, Councilor. So a couple of points here. Community Development Director Kirkman is already working on developing a housing program as part of the City of Tigard's work. There's enough need and attention, focus at the state level, regionally, and certainly locally to warrant some deeper dives into housing at large. It turns out one brilliant teammate isn't enough. So to actually flesh out a program to think about how to advance housing, middle housing products, citywide, affordable housing, preservation, rent, or tenant protections, and so on. Also, the Tigard Home Project, which I believe we received a question about this as well. That is focused on middle housing units citywide, and that work, which was put on pause with Associate Planner Pollard's departure, is being picked up now with our new Associate Planner, Miller, who is looking to get the project adopted by the end of fiscal year 2026 and you can anticipate a workshop on that work this summer. And so you'll have the chance to get some more information and ask more questions. But we're already committed to doing additional work in housing. I appreciate your consideration for staff capacity, but it's certainly a priority. We hear it from council and from our community.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, I think we are fairly comfortable with Goal 1, create housing opportunities for current and future residents with Strategy 1.1 and Strategy 1.2. Goal 2 would then be create economic opportunities for current and future residents, and Strategy 1.3 would go down to 2.1. And then Goal 2 turns into Goal 3 and so on. So are we comfortable with the discussion that we've had on those first two goals? Okay. So Goal 2,
next slide, please. Thank you.
Goal 2, promote Tigard as a great place to live, work, and play. Questions, comments, concerns? Yeah, Councilor Schlack?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I think that the team did a great job with these, and I agree with each of the strategy focus areas, around natural areas, around transportation, around community safety, and around community connection. I think those are the 4 things to highlight. My only thought here is I feel like strengthen community safety and provide meaningful community connection, especially compared to how detailed the other strategies are a bit light. I know when we look at the proposed metrics for community safety, a lot of them are oriented around emergency preparedness, which is very important. And I know community safety is not just policing, but at first glance, I'm like, okay, there's our policing sort of related strategy. Oh wait, if we dig into it, it's really more around emergency preparedness. So I'd love to see those two just fleshed out a little bit more to have slightly clearer intentions. That would be my preference, at least. But I think they're the right 2 strategy areas to have under this goal.
Additional comments, Councilor Hu?
Well, at the risk of being wordsmithing, I'm a little hang up on the word promote. Yeah, I think maybe saying something like position would be better, but again, I don't want to get into wordsmithing. So going back to the strengthen community safety, I just follow up on matrix, increase community confidence and readiness in the event of a significant disaster. I just don't know how we can measure that. So, but maybe you have a way to do that. So that's all the comment I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Danelle Hawthor again, and this is commentary in my former position as the Deputy Emergency Manager for Washington County. So really the discussion here, the sample outputs and the sample metrics that have been provided to go along with this goal really speak to resiliency and what it takes to build resiliency, create community that is both ready and prepared to provide self-care post-traumatic event, post-disaster, in our case, a lot of the conversation resides around what do we do with Cascadia event type, significant natural disaster resiliency. And a lot of work is being done that is starting at the county level that is coming to the city. And in this goal, the development and support of a robust emergency management program is how the city will be able to deliver that to our residents. Continuing to invest in our community emergency response team program, continuing to invest and participate in county-wide emergency management networks and the emergency management co-op, continuing to provide robust staffing for emergency management positions and participate in both the countywide and region-wide exercises and trainings, because not only does that create the leadership and the capabilities amongst our own staff, but it really develops the foundation for the community to have the best possible chance at being prepared and hardening their own resources and encouraging things like neighborhood resiliency groups and know your neighbor type programming that all builds not only strength in post-disaster response, but builds community through encouragement of, we're here to help each other. Do you know which of your neighbors needs medical assistance? Do you know which of your neighbors have kids or animals or are wheelchair bound? And a lot of those connections that we can encourage, just being a good neighbor, come through the lens of presenting it as post-disaster, here's how we need to help each other. So that type of programming is what is being relayed in this space.
But I guess I just don't know how you measure community confidence.
So that particular metric was borrowed from a neighboring jurisdiction, and we understand that they use surveying, and they also work with their CERT team. And so there are different measures we can look at. Attendance to different disaster preparedness talks and events. We do have one annually here in Tigard, and then as part of a surveying tool. And these are just a couple of ideas. There's a number of other measures, participation in exercises, volunteers at different sorts of events. We're happy to, we welcome your ideas or suggestions.
Councillor Shaw?
Thank you, Mayor. And given, thank you both for that explanation, Donnell. Given the response that you had to Councillor Hu, would it make sense then to move strengthen community safety under what is now goal 4 to deliver resilient and well-maintained facilities, given that really talks about the resiliency? Just came to mind as you were giving that explanation.
I think, yeah, I'm sorry, we're just looking at now goal 4, and it feels, I think we're talking about, it feels very facilities specific and not necessarily broader to like the services that we provide.
Yeah, it does say that provide reliable services to the community in goal, which is now 4. That's why it seemed like that made sense, but I really open up to what you all think.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm just reading it, deliver resilient and well-maintained facilities that provide, which tells me it's about the facilities. But I mean, is Councilor Robin, do you have a response to this? Okay, Councilor Robin.
If I recall from our previous discussion, we had requested a specific goal related to the bond measure and the Police and Public Works new facility, and that's what this new now goal 4 is. And so I understand it. It does seem more organized to have it there, but we had asked for a specific separate goal, and the strengthening for the examples for the strategy 2.3 could be done even outside of that facility. So I don't think we need to move it personally, but I just recall we had asked for a separate goal.
Thank you. Council President Wolf?
I was on, sorry. And I agree with Councilor Robbins, so thank you for that. So I would also support keeping it structured the way it is. So I just wanted to jump back. Councilor Hu made the comment about promote. And again, you all have done a great job. So first of all, thank you if I hadn't said that. And I love this goal and the depth and the thoughtfulness. But when I hear promote, again, I feel like I'm at the risk of wordsmithing, but I think of a marketing plan. And this is so much deeper and so much richer than, and I'm not going to give you a word because I'm not coming up with it, but, and I know I'm still in support to accomplish it this evening, but I really would like to see like just an anchor word there that is so much more than a potential, campaign. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, I continue to keep rolling words around in my head and I can't get there.
I can't get there. Oh, but Councilor Schlack had come up with advance, and I'm still not sure if that's it. But anyway, that was, and I appreciate the quick brainstorming. If you guys have a thought, given the intent, right? I mean, it's a great goal, and there's so much important work being done. Here comes Kim. She is ready for the mic.
I suggested the word precision.
The grand Google machine and synonyms. So did find perhaps, I did find advance, but also foster might be a good word.
How does everyone feel about Foster? Just looking around, seeing head nods. Councillor Shaw, you were so, I'm sorry, I'm squinting.
No, that's okay. Foster doesn't sound aggressive or active, but that's just my 2 cents. I'm happy to go with the will of the council.
I suggest position, the word position, no?
Oh, I didn't hear you say that.
I suggest champion. Let's go big.
Positioned, it doesn't feel active. It feels like it feels active in saying Tiger does this, but it doesn't feel active enough in like the work that we want to do to get there. It just, champion I think is getting there. I don't think it's there yet though. I'm not gonna lie. Councillor Slack?
Nurture Tigard as a great place? No. I mean, we want to acknowledge that Tigard is a great place to live, work, and play. We just want to make it even better at that. That's the thing about the word choice. There's still work to do, but we need to acknowledge with that word choice that the baseline is still a great place to live, work, and play, if that makes sense. This is just further enhancement. So I think that's where some of the, I don't know, that's why I thought advanced work, because it's just that, but there we are.
And the conversation and the intention behind these goals is really we're looking to enhance our capabilities to be a safe and resilient community. We're looking to promote those activities that create opportunity for the community to have those experiences and create that foundation. So we're looking to enhance, promote, very, very active, oriented, forward-looking intention to expand what we already have started. We've already got a great foundation in our community resiliency and our community safety, but we're really looking to make sure that we can continue to invest in those things that keep us at a high level of community safety and resiliency.
What about continue to invest in Tigard as a great place to live, work, and play? Because I do think it's important to say continue to, because we are already kind of there, right? This is a great place, but we don't want to sit on our laurels. We want to continue. So whether it's invest or something else, a lot of it is investing, whether it's resources or money or time. We are continuing to take care of our city and continuing to maintain things and improve things as we can.
The only thing about that is this is a completely new goal, and it feels like the new goal is just doing what we've always done by saying continuing to. And I feel like by highlighting it, we are saying that it is a priority and it's going to be something that we're going to advance, like just bulk up. And so I just don't think that we're there yet, and I think we can run around in circles tonight, perhaps. Do you have an idea, Councillor?
So I'm just going to make a plug for Foster, and then I'll be quiet, only because we do say invest in Strategy 2.2. When I think about Foster, it is that that sense of care and nurture, but it's natural areas, invest in safety, the resiliency that Danelle talked about, strengthening community safety, meaningful community connection. So there is a sense of care around the strategies that I think Foster fits. So I'm fine with that, but if you all aren't, then I'm fine for us to approve with a future word and head it our way. But I think it fits the strategies that are wanting to be accomplished in that goal. 2 cents.
After the round discussion, does Foster sit okay with everybody? Councillor Schlack really doesn't like it.
No, I get where you're coming from, but just Foster Tiger, I don't think it'll look good on a poster with the word Foster. That's just me, though.
You know what looks good? Champion.
I like champion more than Foster.
Okay, Interim City Manager Drake.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. You might think of broaden and strengthen community safety. They're very different. But what broaden does, it illustrates broadening it out more in the community. And I think the comments that senior staff made were relevant and very relevant. But I know that whether it's here or other cities, for example, the CERT program can always be stronger, and the community is growing, and some are going to be able to help themselves more than others. But to me, either broaden and strengthen community safety gives it like a pair of pliers or a wrench trying to make it more secure. And it's proactive, the word broaden.
I'm fine with strategy 3.3 being broaden and strengthen community safety. Seeing a lot of head nods. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
That was my other comment I was waiting on. Was I was hoping to perhaps add the word resiliency to that.
Okay.
Community safety and resiliency. I know resiliency is said a couple times in the next goal too, but I think it adds more so that when people read these, they aren't just thinking about the physical safety.
Okay. I like it. So it would be broaden and strengthen community safety and resiliency. Councillor Shaw?
I support that. Thank you, Mayor. And also going back to Champion versus Foster, I would vote for Council President Wolf's Foster. Thank you.
I just keep thinking of like We Are the Champions and seeing Councillor Gudusi like running around. Like, thank you for that visual today.
I will do a queen mustache if that gets it going.
So I actually have an update for strategy 3.4 by stealing a little bit from the other document. So it would say provide meaningful community connection through programs, events, and other opportunities. So it's more descriptive. Okay. So I think we have updated those two strategies. I think foster is a good word unless for some reason in the next week someone comes up with an incredible idea that we can all get behind. Foster gets more votes, I think, than Champion. I'm so sorry, Counselor. Are there any other questions or comments regarding our new goal 3, which is to foster Tigard as a great place to live, work, and play with those updated strategies? Okay. So we will move on to goal 4, which is to deliver resilient and well-maintained facilities that provide reliable services to community. To our community? Can we say to our community? To community feels weird.
Yeah, to the community or to our community, which is even better. Yeah.
Let's do our. Any other questions, comments, changes regarding the goal or the strategies? Did we talk it all out on the other goals? Yeah, Councillor
I do have
Fleck.
one question. I know when we were talking about this originally, repairs to the library or enhancements to the, renovations to the library came up, and I noticed that that's not specifically in here. It looks like, of course, bond measure, and then more like facilities, strategic facilities plan, which has come up a couple of times. I'm just wondering if that is sort of too tactical of a capital improvement project to make as its own strategy based on staff recommendation.
That correct. Under sample outputs, it's listed on sample outputs and not in the strategy itself.
I was asking specifically about the strategies, but thank you, Councillor Robbins. Yeah, no worries. I was just wondering. Thank you.
The professional staff recommended including it as an output rather than part of the strategy, but we can add specificity if you would like to recommend that.
Yeah, I'm fine with. I think goal 3 now 4 looks great as is, with the one addition of the word "our."
Councillor Hu?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, now it's goal 4. I would prefer the word sustainable to describe the facility as well. So maybe something like deliver resilient, sustainable, and well-maintained facility. Sustainable can mean both environmentally sustainable as well as financially, physically sustainable. So to me, I would prefer that, and also reliable. Reliable, maybe add another word like efficient. Reliable and efficient services. Just, I think those two words will, give a hint or cue the community that we are physically responsible as well. So those two words, that's my suggestion.
Thank you, Councilor. Can I read back the full goal statement as recommended? Deliver resilient, sustainable, and well-maintained facilities that provide reliable and efficient services to our community. Great. Thank you.
Any additional comments on our now goal 4, Councilor Slack?
Well, it's not for goal 4, it's for a broader thing. May I raise that? And this is just, I think, me being slightly pedantic. Council goals 2025-2027. I understand the rationale for it. It just really annoys me to read that, and I would like to propose 2025-2026, since these are the goals of the council that is serving from 2025 to 2026.
Ditto. It's always annoyed me.
We welcome the direction. This was an inherited nomenclature, and we will gladly make that change that you request. Did you want us to add in any other modifier, calendar year, fiscal year, anything else? Okay.
I read it as calendar year, so I don't think that needs to go in council goals, calendar year 2025-2026, but I don't know. That's just my thought.
I think it represents the council that's sitting together for those 2 years. They're not fiscal. They represent the council that met and created those goals for the next 2 years. So, yep. Okay. Do you want us to read all of the changes? Are we comfortable adopting the Councilor Gadusi?
There's only one thing. I hate the word resilience with a passion, and it's on every line in number now 4. So do whatever you want with at least one of them, but it's like deliver resilient and maintain facilities and then plan for a future while supporting resilience, and then include a resilient EOC. And it seems redundant, but it's fine if everyone else is okay with it.
Do you have a different word suggestion?
We don't need to say resilient like with the EOC.
Okay, so 3.2, which will include an emergency operations center?
I believe Danelle has a suggestion.
Yes,
too.
Danelle.
I do. Thank you so much. With this being the goal that is intentionally looking at our capability to hopefully get to a bond measure to get to the new police and public works statement, I believe this one more than any other, it's important to use industry standard language. And industry standard in this stance is resilience. Resilience is a national program that is funded at multiple levels amongst the government, starting at the federal, state, county levels. And it's something that is, when it's stated in a government fashion, it has a common understanding of what that means. It's also going to really help on grant applications.
Thank you for dealing with it. You said it was fine. No one saw it. Okay. He whispered it was fine. Okay. Are we comfortable with the changes that we discussed? Do we need to read back over them? Does someone want to make a motion that says council goals with discussed changes? Councilor Robbins.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the council goals with the discussed changes.
Seconded.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2025 council goals with changes. Thank you to the city teams for working so hard to put this together. Is there any additional discussions on the motion? Seeing none, will the city recorder conduct a roll call vote starting with Youth Councilor Mainini for an advisory vote?
Youth Councilor Mainini.
Yes.
Council President Wolf.
Yes.
Councilor Gadusi.
Yep.
Councilor Hu.
Yes.
Mayor Lube.
Yes.
Councilor Robbins.
Yes.
Councilor Slack.
Yes.
Councilor Shaw.
Yes.
Excellent. Congratulations, everyone. We have council goals for the next 2 years. I feel like that's a good time for the clapper. We have no executive session, and that conducts our business for tonight, so we are adjourned. Thank you so much. Good night, council.